Okay, good day, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. I'm here today with Athia Adams. She's from the Justice for Women Foundation, an excellent organization which we're going to talk about later. First of all, Athia, please say hello to the people there.
Hi everyone, it's such a pleasure to be here to share with you all. I'm looking forward to what we're about to chat about.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about your foundation later on. But first of all, some lovely Caribbean food. And I'm so curious to know what is your favorite Caribbean dish?
For me, whenever I think about Trinidad and Tobago, I always think about roti. I don't know why, but roti is always the first thing for me that comes to mind. And we have a place right here in Rio Claro that does amazing roti. And listen to me, her name is Erica, and she does an amazing roti. Yeah.
Okay. And Erica from where? What shop? Where
From
are you
Rio
coming
Claro. It's called Erica's and it's right in Rio Claro.
from?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's far from the streets. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Very straight. Do you know if they're on the internet?
I tried looking for her and I did not see her on the internet. But once you're from Rio Claro, you'll be familiar. If you ask anybody, they will know who it is
Right.
exactly.
Okay. I'm just thinking about the hundreds and thousands of people who aren't from Rio Claro, how they're going to find it. So, any particular landmark when you're coming up to it?
Yes, right after you pass Libertyville, right, you would see a car wash. It's right there.
Okay, so Libertyville is a village.
Yeah, it's right as you pass. It's not in the heart of Rio Claro. You're actually moving, like if you're heading to Princestown, but not that far up. So you're moving in that direction, and anyone around there, they know Erica. Yeah, it's not that difficult to find.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
So, what sort of roti is it that you get from there?
You get all kind of roti. You get duck,
No, no.
chicken.
What do you get from there? What is your favorite
Well,
Caribbean dish?
I get chicken. I'm not really big on duck and those sort of stuff. I simple. Give me my little chicken roti. I good with that. Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
All
like
right.
how some people like shrimp and they like all these different things in the roti. I like my roti real simple. Yeah.
Um. So, because I've been down to Rio Claro side before, and there's a place down there called Treehouse Road. Believe it's in a place called New Grant.
Oh,
Look.
New Grant. That is why. Okay. New Grant is not very close to us. So New
Oh,
Grant is about, let us say, 20 minutes from Rio Claro. So that's heading in the same Princestown area.
okay.
Yeah.
You ever heard of them?
I have not heard of them, but I know New Grant is always busy with food. So, yeah. Because I remember the first time I said it didn't ring a bell. But now that you explain New Grant, yeah, for sure. It's down that way, like you head into Princestown.
Yeah. So for those who are unaware, we actually tried to film this show once before, and we had a few technical difficulties, and Athia kindly come back again. And yeah, we want to get this done. We really do. All right. So, all right. We know you love roti. You know you love chicken roti. What other Caribbean dishes do you like? Where do you get your doubles from?
Doubles, there's this place right here in Rio Claro. Now, I have two places, right? My very first place that I love for doubles is in Sangre Grande, right by the Maxi Taxi Hub, Rogers. I love my doubles there. Right? There's two vans. There's a white van and a blue van. Persons usually rotate between the two. I just only go by the white van. Yeah?
I've heard a lot about this. Apparently, in Arima, there's a blue van and a white van as well.
Yes, yeah, right next to each other, and the lines for both always long, same way. And in Rio Claro, Gupti's doubles, I like them as well. And recently, I found a place right in Sangre Grande Hospital, because I work very close to there, and they do chicken doubles, and it was really good. You know, it didn't taste bad at all.
So where's Cookties?
Gupti's is right in Rio Claro here, right by Libertyville. So not like 5 minutes away from where I am. They are very, very close. You will see them. They only come out on a weekend though. So on a Saturday and a Sunday, you can't miss them.
Okay. So I'm getting a very kind of Indian theme here with your food.
Yes, well,
Another selection.
yes, I do. I do like my Indian foods. I'm not going to lie. I like masala too. I am not going to lie. Flour. I think flour in general is my weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And talking about flour, like when you're buying, for you, is it brown or white?
I am very health conscious, so I would buy white flour, but I usually add wheat, oats, flaxseed, linseed, all of these things go into my flour whenever I am baking to kind of keep it a little more on the healthy side. Mm.
So, any other Caribbean dishes that you might go for in Trinidad? What about Tobago?
Well, in Tobago, because I came back from Tobago yesterday, actually, I went to Tobago for
Oh,
2 weeks. I went home for 2 weeks.
all right.
And for me, I love SuckHole. Now, Tobago, if you know Tobago, Tobago is more on the homey kind of, yeah, they're on tourist, so you'll get a lot of homey kind of thing. And fish and those sort of things, you'll get a lot of it. Home cooked type of teams, you will get a lot of that. I don't live far from Charlottesville. And anytime I go to Tobago, I visit SuckHole Bar, right? Because you go there, one, it's nice scenery, they're right next to the beach, right? And you order your food, you get either chicken, they have shrimp, they have lobster, all of these things, and you order your food. It usually takes a while to prepare because they give you it hot. So it's nothing that is waiting there. So you have to order it and then come back in the next like 30, 40 minutes. So in the meanwhile, you'll go, you will enjoy the beach, the scenery. It have a wharf right nearby, and then you come back and you have your food.
Ooh. So the name is SuckHole Bar,
Yeah, SuckHole Bar, right in Charlottesville. Mm.
Charlottesville. All right.
Yeah, and there's also Bird Watchers. That's in Speyside. They also do an amazing seafood, lobster, fish, all of those things. You get that there as well.
Right. Okay. Charlottesville, because I'm not, as I say, when I go to Tobago, a lot of the time I just go from Accord.
Right.
Um,
Same song. But that's country. I telling you about country here.
right. So past
You
Englishman.
pass in Roxborough, you would know Roxborough because Roxborough is like the second town in Tobago. So you pass in Roxborough, after Roxborough is Delaford, and right after Delaford is Charlottesville.
So say I'm a tourist and I'm coming to Trinidad, and you're recommending me somewhere to go, somewhere fun, exciting. What would you recommend?
In Trinidad?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice question. Well, I know in Mayaro, they started doing this gliding thing in Mayaro. And a lot of people going for it.
Oh, the
Um,
paragliding.
yes, a lot of people going for it, and that's right in Mayaro. I hear
You
it's
do,
fun.
you do that, yeah?
No, no. I will watch though. I would watch, but I wouldn't. I'm not very adventurous. I'm not very adventurous like that.
My friend went up in one of those things, and like I was recording it, documenting it. I was watching this thing take off, and just it take off, like the wheel just clipped part of the ground, and it kind of wobbled and things. My heart was in my mouth.
Yeah,
Not being that at all.
no, I wouldn't do those things, but I
At
would
all.
watch. And there are
Yeah.
people that enjoy that sort of thing.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
like hiking. Yeah,
I showed videos to a few people, and so many people that surprised me with, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
yeah,
You like
yeah.
hiking as well?
I love hiking. You'll get me with there. In Valencia, there is this amazing trail that you go to. It's amazing. I've been there before, even in Matura. Mermaid Pool in Matura is a really nice and it's not a difficult hike. Those sort of places, yeah. Maracas, all up on that side. Maracas Waterfall is a nice hike to get there, and it's amazing.
And what about home, Tobago?
For me, Tobago, when I go to Tobago, I'm more like, yes, there's Argyle Waterfall. It's really nice as well. Um, but I more like to visit like restaurants and stuff when I go to Tobago. But Tobago has the mermaid pool. Tobago has so many different things you could do in Tobago. The beaches in Tobago is amazing. But I'm sure you know that, right? It's very different to what we have in Trinidad. And as I say, it's tourist based. So there's a lot of places. I mean, you could drive around Tobago in one day, literally.
Have you been to any other Caribbean islands?
I've been to Grenada. Yeah, my grandmother is actually from Grenada, so I actually lived in Grenada for about 10 years before I came to Trinidad there.
What? Did you try any of the food over there?
Of course, Grenada reminds me a lot of Tobago, a little more like provision, saltfish, that sort of stuff.
Can you remember any of the shops where you might have gone to?
I really can't because it's been a minute since I've been back to Grenada. However, I am planning a trip first thing next year to kind of refresh my memory.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been once. It is a lovely place.
It is.
That Grand Anne's Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was from, the little island off of Grenada called Caracu.
Oh,
Yes, that's where I lived, Caracu.
I've never heard of that. I didn't
Really?
know. No, I didn't know that Grenada had islands. I thought it was Grenada.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say is the national dish of Grenada?
Wow. Provision, I would think, because they're always eating provision. I don't know, because for me, whenever I go to Grenada, they do this thing. I just remember my grandmother having fish on the galvanized drying. Right? They put salt and all sorts of things to keep it, and it would just be out in the sun drying, and then after it dry enough, they would make that with provision.
What is your favorite film?
Me Before You.
Okay. What is that, a comedy or?
No, it's kind of like a romance, but it's about this person that wanted to commit medical suicide. So that's why they call it Me Before You, because he was in a lot of pain, and his family couldn't understand why he would want to do it.
Okay. Favorite book?
Oh, I like Battlefield of the Mind from Joyce Myers. I read a lot of books, so I have a lot of favorite books.
That sounds like a powerful book.
Yeah, it is.
Favorite food show?
Master Chef.
And when it comes to pepper, is it none, slight, medium, or pepper?
None. I don't eat pepper at all.
Okay. But the rest of the family, they...
Yeah, they do. Because I have issues with pepper, so I don't eat pepper at all. But my family, they eat pepper for sure.
Okay. When it comes to Pelau, you dry or sappy?
In between.
Right. Okay. I've been asking some people this, mostly non-Trinis. Like I did ask a Jamaican, and I asked someone from the UK, and their heritage was St. Lucia and Grenada. And both of them never heard of Pelau. Is Pelau a Trini? Is it a Trini thing or a Caribbean thing? I thought it was Caribbean.
It's a Trini thing because different people make it differently. Like when I go to Grenada, okra rice. Okra rice is very similar to Pelau. It's just that you use okra, right? So in Trinidad and Tobago, we know Pelau. Even in my aunt in Tobago, when they make Pelau, you're getting chicken, you're getting pork, you're getting beef, you're getting oxtail, you're getting corn, everything in now one Pelau.
So if you're eating, like, say, an oxtail or a roti or something like that, are you a messy eater?
Yes, I just get down in there. Listen, I like to call it, I just skin up my roti, open it out, and get down in there. That's why it has soap and water to wash your hands and stuff when you finish.
True. Okay. So we have like below the knee food like chicken foot, cow heel. If a tourist came and you was going to convince them to try one, what would you think would be the easier one for you to convince them to try?
Chicken foot probably, but I like my cow heel as well. I love my cow heel. Just recently I went to Tobago and sauce. They like to make sauce with chicken foot, cow heel, those sort of things. Yeah. And I feel like it's getting a little normalized now. Because I was telling somebody quite recently, when you go to the grocery now, you could actually buy pig head. You never used to be able to buy pig head in the grocery because we eat pig head. We eat the ears, the nose, we eat that. Right? So now you could actually buy it in the grocery.
Okay, so you know that Trinidad and Tobago mostly we love our meat. When it comes to you ordering a roti, where would a vegetable roti stand in the list of you getting it? Would it be near the top of the list or near the bottom?
The bottom, I like meat, you know. I like my meat. I always say that I need meat in my food. So I would only buy a vegetarian roti if, I don't know, I just not feeling for the meat that particular day, but on average, not at all. I need my meat all up in there.
Right. Okay. So, what's your favorite drink?
You know, I love a mudslide. I love a mudslide. Yeah.
A mudslide. That's an alcoholic drink, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, what's your favorite non-alcoholic drink?
I like, let me say, natural juices like passion fruit or something like that. Natural juices, orange, freshly squeezed orange. I like that.
And favorite fruit?
Passion fruit.
Favorite, favorite vegetable?
I don't really like vegetable, but if I had to pick one just for picking its sake, I'd probably say like I love carrots. Yeah.
Lovely. So, when it comes to pets, are you licky face or no licky face?
No, don't lick my face, please.
I hear you. I hear you. When it comes to pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Of course.
And what would you say is the national dish of Trinidad and Tobago?
Roti and Pelau.
Yeah, that's, yeah, they're so popular.
Yeah, yeah.
If you won the lotto and you could pick any island to go to, apart from Trinidad, which island or Caribbean country would you choose?
I would love to visit Jamaica. Yeah.
Any particular reason why?
I like the culture. I feel like, you know, we listen to Jamaican music all the time. And I really would like to, I think the beaches, because I've done my research on Jamaica. And I think it's an amazing place to visit. All Caribbean countries, as a matter of fact, because I love Barbados, all of these places. But if I have to pick a place to start, definitely Jamaica.
So, Jamaica, Barbados, give me a third one.
I love St. Lucia. I have friends from St. Lucia. Yeah.
All right. So, we all know with the cost of groceries just skyrocketed, where would you recommend viewers to get bargains?
Well, for me now, I go to two specific groceries. I go to S&S Passads and I go to Passad the Food King, primarily because they're very close to each other. So I compare prices, and whichever one is cheaper, I go there. I don't really do the big supermarkets because of the prices. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling. Things in South are cheaper than things up north.
Yeah, sometimes, and then other times not so much. But what I've found is that a lot of those big brand name groceries, it tend to be a little more expensive. However, there's this new grocery. There's a plaza that recently opened in Sangre Grande, and they have a grocery there, and they are reasonable as well. extra foods.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people recommend them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so when it comes to sugar, brown or white?
Brown. White sugar, like if you're making kurma or something,
Making what?
probably use kurma.
Okay, that's like
That's
an
an
Indian.
Indian sweet.
Okay.
Right? Yes, you'll use white sugar, but in general, I basically use brown sugar.
And all right, we know that our country, just like most countries, like or most Caribbean countries, would have a beautiful side to it, but there's also a dark side. So if you was the prime minister, for a day or for a week or whatever, what would you change to make the place better?
I would say more opportunities for youths. I feel like our youths are being lost to the elements of crime. Yeah, so I would say youths, more opportunities for them because they are the future generations. And I feel like if we want to fix what's happening now, we need to start with them.
Yes, so true. So now, obviously, we're going to talk about the Justice for Women Foundation, and like these times, we're living in some dark times now, not just here, but it looks like it's global. It's global. So your foundation, tell the people what your foundation does.
Okay, well, the Justice for Women Foundation is a fairly new NGO. We were created in 2021, January the 1st, after the death of Ashanti Riley. And it was basically created to bring awareness to gender-based violence in Trinidad and Tobago, to find solutions. And we are also geared towards motivating women to see her true, authentic self so that we could be better women for the future.
I, I don't know what it's like with the education system nowadays, but like to be frank with you, like I didn't go to school over here. I went to school in the UK. But even when I left school there, I was like scratching my head on like what I was gonna do. I think that's one of the things we could improve on in the education system. Is
I
like
totally agree. Because just recently I was having that conversation. They made education free. So now we have a lot of individuals walking around with degrees and nowhere to use them.
so. So I was looking through your website and your Facebook page. The you do like a lot of online stuff as well,
Yeah.
where you have courses.
Yeah, well, we were created in the time of the pandemic when pandemic had just started. So in order to not be stagnant, what we did was we found ways to develop programs to include women as well as men to assist. So we do a lot of developmental programs. We do a lot of online sessions. We also partner with different organizations, for example, Office Gems, to do programs. Just yesterday, we had a counseling session that was free to women and men that were having issues in their relationships or were encountering issues with regards to parenting or domestic violence.
So what sort of problems do you see that they have for the majority of times when it comes to like for example in their relationship?
A lot of times you would find that women, they have children, and when their partners become abusive, it's difficult to leave because they are depending on their partner economically to provide. So a lot of times you find that they stay not because they want to, but because they feel like they have to. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about the problems that they're having when it comes to parenting?
A lot of times the issues with parenting is this. Um, and I think is normal. We will have difference in terms of views, but when violence starts to play a role in the relationship, you find that there's a pulling and a tugging because, especially if the woman decides to leave, now you would find that men are now withholding money as a control mechanism. So you find they're not paying the money and all of that, and then the women are now left in a vulnerable state, and that is why they oftentimes go back into the relationship. Because listen, as a woman, there's nothing as heartbreaking as not being able to feed your own child.
Um, I saw a post on Facebook the other day, kind of cynical. Um, didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but it said something to the effect of some people fall in love with people that they should have only have had sex with once.
Yeah. And it's
And
true.
yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
times we fall in love with people that, we weren't meant to tie ourselves for the long term. But things happen, and that's the
yeah.
outcome.
And I'm also of the belief that I don't know whether it's particularly with my or our race, but I don't think we really embrace the word family um, as much as possibly some of the other races might. What do you think?
I completely agree. I think we feel as though family is just when you need something, right? But the real meaning of what family and that family structure and that breakdown in the family structure is what is resulting to a lot of the mishaps that we are encountering in society. Because your first socialization is your family. And if it was a negative one, then you are already trained and wired to see it in a very skewed way. And you're gonna, unless you have developed that mindset to recognize the dysfunction and to move away from the dysfunction, a lot of times we transfer this dysfunction into our own family.
And I don't know if I'm wrong as well, but I'm in the belief, like, I mean, I listen to what we listen to as a music, and some of this, like, dancehall, it isn't the most encouraging of lyrics. I mean, it's all about wind it up and dagger this and dagger that. And, it's nothing positive. I've gone to parties and I've seen little children, like, I'm guessing around 2, 3 years old, dancing to like extremely vulgar lyrically music, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And kids ain't stupid. They hear all this thing, you
And they
know? So
understand it. They mightn't understand it in its entirety, but they understand.
I'm wondering if one of the problems is the music. Why are these men being so violent and disrespectful towards women?
I think from a very tender age, we teach our boys that big boys don't cry. So we have a lot of men that is walking around with a lot of hurt on the inside and nowhere, no avenues to get rid of it. So when they enter into relationships, they don't know how to speak, communicate, and express themselves. So now when they enter in relationships and it doesn't go the way that they want, their first thing, because remember masculinity, as a man, your power is your strength. And so they use what they deem as their power to dominate and to control.
Yeah. And I, another important thing for me as well is something called conversation. That if you're not getting the conversation in the family, um, or it's just a lot of shouting, things are always going to be negative. And even between two friends or two guys talking, you know, I've been here 15 years. About 3 or 4 occasions, people have been chatting, guys have been chatting to me, and because I talk with conversation, the conversation might go deep, and on 3, 4 occasions, those guys have cried. You know, I and it surprised me. But thinking about it, what you're saying, they haven't got any other avenue to express themselves, and they probably felt comfortable just talking to me. But the thing is, it could have been anyone that they were talking to. You just got to feel comfortable in the conversation, and talk out your problems, but like to raise a
Exactly.
hand to a woman or worse still a child. I've heard some, they beat the children too, like excessively.
Yeah.
Oh, we can only
And it
hope and pray.
happens. It happens, and that is why we need to change the narrative. And in order for us to change the narrative, we need to start now so that our future generations are not impacted by, what is happening right now. And we need to train our children, teach our children one. And you said something earlier that is so true. You see that family structure? That is the family structure is where one, a girl is going to learn how a man should treat her from her dad, and where a boy is going to learn how he is supposed to treat a woman, right? Because he's seeing the dad. But if dads are absent within the homes, which is often the case, children usually stay with their mother. It's not always the case, but it's often the case. So here you have this inability now to understand, as a young girl, this is how I am supposed to be loved. And as a boy, this is how I'm supposed to love and be loved. Right? So you don't have that pattern there. So it's like you are now forming your own idea. And it sometimes is positive and it's sometimes negative.
Yeah, and as you say, they're so intelligent. They pick up on these things, anything, so easily.
They are.
Yeah. So, when is your next seminar?
Our next seminar is actually for the men. It's a call to men. We are partnering with Office Gems, and what we are doing now is that we are calling the men to the forefront, because we have left you all in the back for far too long. We want to hear, what are your views in terms of what is happening with regards to gender-based violence, with regards to abuse. We want to know your views. We want to know how you feel in relationships, what is causing this, and most importantly, how can we fix it?
Yeah. So are they willing to talk? Those guys who hit women or are violent, are they willing to come forward and talk?
An abuser will never say that they are an abuser. That is the first thing. So we need to now be very strategic in terms of how we get men to talk, right? So it's getting the information to them. A man is more likely to listen to another man than to listen to a woman, right? So what we are doing is we are just creating the platform to open conversation.
Right. Okay. And where is the platform? Where can the viewers check
It
that?
is going, you can go over to Office Gems on Facebook and register there. Once you register, you get the link and you join via Zoom. And we don't, for these sessions, we don't record and we don't broadcast. It's very private and intimate.
Oh, right. Okay, so it's just like a conversation.
It is. It is.
Right.
We don't
And there's no record of it after.
No.
Right.
What we hope is that through conversation that it ignites something in you to want to make a difference. And I think that what, as women, we need to do is listen a little more and talk a little less. So we are hoping that by them being present in this seminar, that they could actually listen and understand some of the issues that men may have that they are not vocalizing.
And how can the people get in touch with Justice for Women?
You can find us on Facebook at Justice for Women Foundation. We are also on Instagram, Justice for Women Foundation, via email at justiceforwomenfoundation@gmail.com, or you can contact us directly at 385-1992.
Excellent. And do you want to pick up any of your sponsors? I heard you talking about Office Gems.
Oh yes, we
want to pick them up and any other people, any other companies?
Of course, we always collaborate with Office Gems to do a lot of our programs. They actually create the platform for us, and we're grateful. For the month of July, we are conducting a feminine hygiene drive. So if persons are interested in either donating or may require items, please feel free to reach out to us with the information that I would have given before.
Excellent. And what are you looking forward to eating later?
I feeling for oil down. A nice oil down with pigtail.
Yeah, I hear that. Do you think that might be the national dish of Grenada?
It could be, I know it had to be something along the lines of provision. Because they love provision, cassava, plantain, them kind of thing, probably.
Athia, I really do want to thank you for your time today. It was such a pleasure having you on, and you got some informative information there.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me.
It's a real pleasure. All right, you have a blessed and wonderful day, and I hope you get some more of that.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.